Jim.
Brian, welcome back to town.
Thank you, Jim.
Could you talk a little bit about the seawall project and why we over here need to care about that, please?
Why do you need to care about it? The question is why. Tell me a little bit about the seawall project and why you over here need to care about it. I'm not quite sure why you need to care about it. But if you live in Seattle, you need to care about it because you don't want the whole city to slide into the water. I mean, the most of what is now considered the waterfront is fill, and to hold that fill up, a seawall was built, and that seawall is well beyond its life expectancy. The port has responsibility for part of that seawall, and nearly all of the parts of the seawall for which we're responsible have been replaced or it will be replaced soon. I think last accounting we've spent about $21 million replacing the seawall for which we're responsible. The city is responsible for the rest, and under the package where we put in the new tunnel for SR 99, the city is supposed to replace the seawall at that same time. The mayor of Seattle has recently suggested that the port help pay for the city repair of the seawall, and my answer is that we've repaired the part of the seawall that we're responsible for. I didn't know that you guys were getting sucked into that one. I'm trying not to get sucked into that one.
Maybe it's the viaduct, but as far as access to the port of Seattle and...
Yeah, the viaduct is, and replacing SR 99 and the tunnel, that's very different than the seawall. The seawall is the city's responsibility and needs to happen as we're doing this new SR 99 rebuild, taking down the viaduct and building the tunnel. But the seawall is a separate project. In my opinion, it's the city's responsibility. The port is, as I mentioned in my speech, committing to spend up to $300 million of our own revenue to help the state build a state highway. And we're doing that. We really tried to stay out of the whole viaduct dispute until December of 2008, when it looked like the two options that were going to go to the governor for her consideration were either a rebuild of the viaduct or a surface option. And I think I was quoted saying the surface option looked like municipal suicide, and the rebuild and the surface option would tear up the waterfront and access around the port for up to 7 years. And we just did not think, when you have, as we do in Seattle, 77,000 jobs dependent upon a working waterfront, that having it torn up for 7 years was in the best interest of that community or in the best interest of folks trying to ship hay from Ellensburg or food processing products from here. And so we said there's got to be another alternative to rebuilding the viaduct or putting a surface option on and tearing up the waterfront for 7 years. And we encouraged the governor to consider some sort of subsurface option. We didn't specify what that would be. Be careful when you give the governor advice, because then the governor may come to you and ask for you to help pay for the solution. And that's what happened. But when you look at how we need to move freight from the Port of Seattle in a way that connects with I-5 and I-90, we have a real stake in making sure that that highway is built in a way that accommodates the movement of goods from 90 and 5. And so our contribution is going towards a lot of the overpasses and underpasses that will make sure that that part in the south end of the highway connects with the port. And at the north end, when you pop out of the tunnel, that there'll be a way to get from that north end to our cruise ship terminal so that passengers can go from SeaTac to the cruise ship terminal in a seamless way. So we have some vested interest in making sure that it works, and that's why the port's at the table. Any other questions? Great. Thank you all very much.